I'm Jamie Hooper with RE/MAX Crest and jamiehooper.com, and today we're here to talk about the current state of the Greater Vancouver real estate market. But before we get started, I'd just like to remind you, if you get any value out of these videos, if you wouldn't mind just clicking the thumbs up, subscribing to our YouTube channel or our Facebook page, or even making a comment if you feel so inclined. So it's starting to get around again where people are saying, oh, the market's overinflated, it's going to crash. And this is typical every time the market takes a big spike up. And over the last couple of years, we've seen the markets just head straight upwards. You know, people are saying that interest rates are going to drag the market down because inflation is rising, et cetera, and so on. So what I thought we'd do today is have a look at the real estate market's 45-year history. We've got the statistics as far as the Real Estate Board of Greater Vancouver goes back with them, and here they are behind you. So you can see the top line there is for a detached house going all the way back to 1977. And you can see in 1977, the approximate price of a detached house in the Greater Vancouver area was about $100,000, if you can believe it or not. But it was a long time ago, a different time and place. By the end of the late 70s and early 80s, the market took off around here. And here's one of the things that concerns me about today's market. When the market took off, it was also at a time of rampant inflation where there was 18 to 20% interest rates on your mortgages, I remember I had a daily savings interest account at the time that paid me 18% interest just to have my money in the bank. Today I think it's 1% or something like that. So that was what was going on at the time. And then sometime in the early 80s, 81-ish, the market crashed. Kaboom. Property values went down about 40% rapidly, and it brought the markets to a grinding halt all through the first half of the 1980s. World's Fair happened in Vancouver in 1986. And what that did, as we all know, is it opened up the whole the whole world got introduced to Vancouver at the time, and the market started to recover in the late 80s and got very busy and did really well up until the mid 90s in 1994, when interest rates took a bit of a spike up to, well, they had gone back down by that point, I should say. We didn't talk interest rates. By the late 80s, early 90s, interest rates were getting down to the 8-7% area. And they got down even lower, down to the 6% area by the early 92, 93. What happened was they took a spike upwards, and then from 1994 to 2001, that coupled with the uncertainty about what was going to happen with Hong Kong in 1997 caused some real lethargy in the market for the remainder of the 90s and right up until 2001. During that era in the 90s, the rest of North America was booming everywhere. The United States, Canada, the real estate markets, financial markets, everything was doing great except British Columbia. In 2001, two things happened that turned our market around, and ever since then, with a few hiccups, the Greater Vancouver market is just shot straight upwards, which we're going to have a look at. So in 1997, what I like to do is have a look at if you bought your house in 1997, which was 25 years ago, and you were just about to pay your mortgage off this month. Let's talk about the average scenario, how that would have worked out for you. So if you'd paid $400,000, which was the average price of a house in the Lower Mainland in 1997, let's just say that you did that today. So $400,000. If you'd put $100,000 down, 25% down, your mortgage would have been about $1,500 a month in those days. So the market cruised along, like I said, until 2001, when prices started to spike up. Two things happened in 2001. The Liberals got elected to government, and I'm not just saying that's what did it, but we'd had three scandal-filled governments in a row with Van der Zalm, Harcourt, and Clark. After that, I'm not saying Campbell's, what I'm trying not to do is get political here. I'm not saying Campbell was any better, but what it did was it put some certainty back into the marketplace for some reason. In May of that year, I started being a realtor in 1993. I had not seen a busy market until 2001, and it was literally within days after the Liberals getting elected, the phone started to ring like I had never seen before. Then September 11th happened 4 months later. The Americans were afraid that the Dow was going to crash, so they shut the stock stock market down on September 11th, didn't reopen till the following Monday, and they dropped their interest rates a point and a half at that point. The Greater Vancouver market just shot straight upwards for 7 years until we came to the U.S. banking crisis. You can see now that $400,000 house was now worth $806 10 years later in $200,000. It had doubled. The U.S. banking crisis, like I say, lasted about a year and a half. You can see at the end of the U.S. banking crisis by 2010, we'd come right back up again. Market continued to shoot straight upwards till 2016 when they introduced the foreign buyers tax to try and cool the market off because it was so hot. It did. It worked for about 3 years till September of 2019, and as you can see, it shot straight up today where that house is worth $2.288, so $2,288,000, $2.3 million today compared to 25 years ago. So if you had bought that house in 1997 for $400,000, and it was the average house, and real estate were an exact science, your house would be worth $2.3 million today. What my point is here with all of this is each time the market takes a dip here, it always comes back. Vancouver seems to defy economic logic. And I always go back to the point, and I always say that I sound like a broken record because I feel like I say it all the time. The city is landlocked, and that is why. I've read forecasts that say anywhere between 40,000 to 55,000 people will come to Vancouver this year. This year or next year, Vancouver will eclipse 3 million in population. The population in 1986 was 1.4 million. So in 35 years, it's doubled. They say in 2040, the population will be up to 4 million people here. So that's it. If you have any other questions or you would like any information, just feel free to contact us. I'm Jamie Hooper with RE/MAX Crest and jamiehooper.com, and we look forward to speaking with you again soon.